The 7 levels of Marvel. Secret organizations, explained. Level 1. Street turf power. The Magia. When it comes to Marvel's underworld, the Magia runs it like a shadow empire disguised as an old-school mob. Born in the 1920s, this syndicate was Marvel's answer to the real-world mafia, except their dons traded horses' heads for superweapons. Count Nefaria was the first to understand that in a world with gods and mutants, money wasn't enough. You needed science. He transformed the Magia from a collection of Italian crime families into a high-tech crime conglomerate. At its height, the Magia controlled everything from New York's waterfronts to European casinos, quietly funneling profits into black market labs. Families like Silvermanes and Hammerheads ran operations like rival dynasties, always one betrayal away from war. When Silvermane turned himself into a cyborg to keep control, it showed what the Magia had become. Not just organized crime, but industrialized survival. The Syndicate's influence bled into countless Marvel stories. Spider-Man chased their smugglers across rooftops, Daredevil tried dismantling their rackets, and the Punisher treated their soldiers like target practice. Yet for every takedown, another capo stepped up. Even after Nefaria went full ionic supervillain, the family business never truly died. Their reach spread beyond New York, into Madripoor, Venice, and Simcaria, places where the Avengers don't patrol and the law doesn't matter. Today, the Magia sits quietly beneath the chaos of alien invasions and multiversal threats. No flashy costumes, no world domination speeches, just silent money laundering, assassinations, and arms deals that keep their legacy alive. They're the oldest secret in Marvel's world, still breathing under the noise of gods, still pulling triggers in the dark. The Morlocks. Hidden deep beneath Manhattan's tunnels, this forgotten group of mutants formed not out of ambition, but rejection. Too disfigured or unstable for Xavier's school, too peaceful for Magneto's crusades, they built their own world where no one could judge them. Callisto led them like a street general, enforcing order in a maze of flickering lights and rusted pipes. Their society ran on scavenging, loyalty, and survival. No riches, no glory, just safety in the shadows. When Storm descended into the tunnels and fought Callisto for leadership, it was a symbolic clash between mutant ideals. Integration versus isolation. Then came the Mutant Massacre, one of the darkest chapters in Marvel history. Marauders stormed their tunnels under orders from Mr. Sinister, slaughtering dozens. The survivors scattered. Some joined the X-Men, others turned into Gene Nation, a radical offshoot that rose from grief. Their tragedy turned them from outcasts into symbols, living proof that not all mutants were born to shine in daylight. In the years after, the Morlocks evolved into whispers, sometimes emerging to rescue children, other times vanishing back underground. They don't seek fame, vengeance, or even recognition. Their secrecy is about protection, and that's what makes them fascinating at this level, a society that hides not to conquer, but to endure. While the Magia chase influence through violence and wealth, the Morlocks represent the opposite side of the same city, the forgotten, the unseen, and the ones who survive by staying invisible. Down in the tunnels, the real secret organizations are just trying to exist without the world finding them. Level 2. Assassination and Indoctrination Cells. The Hand. Founded in feudal Japan centuries ago, their original mission was political assassination. Over time, it evolved into something darker, a religious cult worshipping a demonic entity known as the Beast. For them, killing is a ritual. Every blade, every resurrection, every drop of blood serves the same purpose, spreading the Beast's influence one corpse at a time. The Hand's strength lies in invisibility. They're ghosts with payrolls. Entire villages and corporations have vanished under their shadow, their leadership quietly replaced by indoctrinated servants. The Chaste, led by Stick, became their eternal opposition, an endless duel between discipline and corruption that's raged for centuries. In the modern age, the Hand traded monasteries for skyscrapers, embedding themselves in corporate towers and boardrooms while still commanding armies of masked killers in the streets below. In New York, their story collided with Daredevil and Elektra, two warriors torn between redemption and loyalty. When the Hand resurrected Elektra, they proved that no one, hero or villain, was truly beyond their reach. Their influence bled into the lives of Wolverine, the Punisher, and even Kingpin's empire. Every major criminal network eventually crosses paths with the Hand, usually without realizing it until it's too late. To this day, the Hand remains one of Marvel's most enduring hidden forces, patient, fanatical, and quietly expanding. You don't find them, they find you, and by the time you realize it, you're already part of the ritual, the Red Room. Born during the Cold War, the secret Soviet program was designed to forge assassins who could infiltrate anywhere and kill anyone. Their agents were trained from childhood, stripped of identity, and rebuilt as weapons disguised as women. Their most famous graduate, Natasha Romanoff, spent years believing she'd escaped. The truth was, no one ever really leaves the Red Room. Hidden deep within Russian territory, the Red Room operated as a combination of training academy and psychological laboratory. They experimented with chemical suppression, behavioral conditioning, and genetic enhancement to remove hesitation education and amplify loyalty. In some versions, students were sterilized to erase distraction. In others, they were chemically bound to follow orders. Under General Dreykov's direction, it became a self-sustaining ecosystem of spies, handlers, and doctors, all working to mass-produce the perfect infiltrator. When Natasha and Yelena dismantled the program in Black Widow, they uncovered just how far it had evolved. The Widows weren't soldiers anymore. They were puppets controlled through pheromonal locks and neurochemical triggers. Entire political systems had been manipulated through their missions, and Dreykov's control spanned continents. The fall of the Red Room didn't erase its legacy. In the shadows of the MCU, fragments of the program still linger. Scientists, defectors, and survivors who carried its training elsewhere. For decades, both organizations thrived on silence. The Hand through spiritual manipulation, the Red Room through scientific control. They never needed armies or nations, just believers. The Hand offered power through death. The Red Room offered purpose through submission. Together, they built an invisible layer of Marvel's world that kills quietly, spreads endlessly, and only reveals itself when the damage is already done. And in the hierarchy of secrecy, these groups mark the point where shadows start organizing into something bigger than crime, an ecosystem of indoctrination, built to turn loyalty into a weapon. Level 3. Science and Weapon Labs. AIM. Founded by rogue scientists who believed ethics slowed progress, AIM emerged from the Cold War as a think tank for anything too dangerous for government labs. Their motto was simple: science is limitless. Whether it was nuclear enhancement, genetic splicing, or dimensional energy, if it could destroy the planet, AIM wanted to study it. The group first appeared as a faceless swarm of technicians in yellow hazard suits, operating under code names instead of identities. They built super weapons, artificial intelligences, and bioengineered monsters. They created MODOK, an experiment gone right or wrong, depending on how you define success. Designed as a mental organism designed only for killing, MODOK became both their greatest asset and their greatest liability, a human brain stretched into a grotesque killing machine. AIM sold their technology to anyone with enough zeros on their bank account. Hydra generals, rebel nations, alien warlords. They didn't care who used their inventions as long as they could keep innovating. In the comics, their reach extended to cosmic-level research, energy manipulation, reality distortion, even attempts to harness the cosmic cube. In the MCU, they briefly appeared under Aldrich Killian's Extremis project, pushing human biology to its limits through experimental regeneration. That storyline barely scratched the surface of their history. Even after their supposed collapse, AIM cells still operate in secret. Hidden labs under fake corporations, private islands, and derelict oil rigs turned into innovation hubs. Their scientists view chaos as progress. Every explosion, every failed prototype is still data. They remain one of Marvel's most persistent threats because they represent an idea that never dies: power without restraint. The Ten Rings. Long before Stark Industries or Hydra, the Ten Rings already existed, older than empires, older than the heroes who tried to stop them. In the MCU, the organization traces back to Wenwu, a warlord who discovered 10 ancient rings of extraterrestrial origin, granting him immortality and power beyond comprehension. Over centuries, Wenwu used those rings to build an empire from the shadows, toppling dynasties, funding revolutions, and manipulating governments through fear. For centuries, the Ten Rings were more myth than organization. Their insignia appeared at terrorist camps, black market auctions, and covert arms deals. Every time a new war erupted, their fingerprints surfaced somewhere in the supply chain. When Tony Stark was captured in Afghanistan, it was the Ten Rings behind the kidnapping, proof that their influence spanned continents. Wenwu's leadership style blended tradition with tyranny. He ruled through legacy, training his children Shang-Chi and Xialing as extensions of his empire. But what made the Ten Rings unique wasn't their weapons, it was their patience. They never rushed global domination. They simply waited for others to tear themselves apart, then stepped in to profit. After Wenwu's death, Xialing inherited the empire. She modernized it, replacing centuries of rigid hierarchy with street-level recruits and digital infrastructure. Under her command, the Ten Rings shifted from mythic warlords to a modern power broker network, equal parts cult and corporation. Level 4. Global Extremist Network. Hydra. Hydra is what happens when fanaticism outlives the men who started it. Its roots reach back to ancient times, but the version that reshaped modern history began in the 1930s, when Johann Schmidt, known as the Red Skull, turned Nazi ideology into a cult of eternal power. He wasn't chasing politics, he was chasing destiny. With access to the Tesseract, Schmidt believed he could harness divine energy and build a new world order under Hydra's banner. When World War II ended, Hydra didn't disappear, it evolved. Baron Wolfgang von Strucker reorganized the remnants into a global insurgency insurgency disguised as progress. The uniforms and chants faded, but the symbol remained. A green serpent with the motto that defined their survival. Cut off one head, two more shall take its place. It wasn't bravado, but strategy. Hydra embedded itself inside everything it once tried to destroy. In the decades after the war, Hydra went corporate. Through front companies and government infiltration, they became indistinguishable from the institutions that were supposed to protect people. They didn't fight wars anymore. They managed them. Their scientists, like Arnim Zola, digitized ideology, creating algorithms that could predict and eliminate threats before they even acted. By the time Nick Fury discovered how deep the infection ran, Hydra had already taken over Shield from the inside. The reveal came in Captain America, the Winter Soldier, when decades of manipulation exploded into daylight. The Winter Soldier program, brainwashed super assassins created by Soviet and Hydra scientists, was one of their longest-running successes. Operatives like Alexander Pierce sat at the highest levels of world politics, guiding events to maintain a controlled balance of chaos. Project Insight, a satellite-based kill system, was meant to finalize that control. Only Captain America's rebellion stopped it from launching. In the comics, Hydra has gone through hundreds of rebirths, sometimes led by Strucker, sometimes by the Skull, and even once by a brainwashed Steve Rogers during the Secret Empire storyline. Each version shows the same idea. Hydra isn't an organization, it's a virus of ideology. Wherever authority grows unchecked, Hydra finds a way in. They've experimented with super soldiers, cloning, black market tech, and even dark magic through figures like Hive. Every time the world stabilizes, Hydra adapts, finding new hosts, corporations, governments, rogue scientists. Their influence has reached from Earth to space, even infiltrating alien civilizations in later Marvel arcs. What keeps them terrifying is their patience. They're the only group in Marvel's history that mastered longevity. Empires collapse, heroes retire, and villains self-destruct, but Hydra survives by hiding behind new logos, new uniforms, new promises. Every political movement with too much zeal, every tech company that knows too much, every government that forgets transparency, there's always the chance it's another head of the same serpent. After the fall of Shield, Hydra's name became a curse, but fragments still operate through black budgets and secret bases. In a universe full of aliens, gods, and multiverses, they remain frighteningly human. Proof that the most dangerous weapon in Marvel is conviction without accountability. From World War II bunkers to glass towers and digital servers, Hydra evolved with the times, keeping its oath the same for nearly a century, not to nations or power, but to survival itself. And in the hidden hierarchy of Marvel's secret world, they represent the first truly global network, the moment secrecy stopped being about shadows and became about systems. Level 5, Government, Planetary Enforcement, SHIELD. Before the Avengers, before the Sokovia Accords, there was SHIELD, the Strategic Homeland Intervention, Enforcement, and Logistics Division. It began as a dream of global unity, a post-World War II answer to the chaos that came before. Nick Fury and Peggy Carter helped shape it into the world's first line of defense against rising superhuman threats. For decades, it operated like an invisible skeleton of world order, spies, satellites, and sleeper bases in every time zone. Their files held everything: alien artifacts, Hydra blueprints, mutant genetics, and early traces of the Infinity Stones. When someone called for help, the Avengers showed up. When no one called, SHIELD still showed up. They tracked Asgardian energy surges before anyone knew what a Bifrost was. They built helicarriers that could hover above continents. They even recruited Iron Man before Tony Stark realized it was a job interview. But the organization that started as a global safeguard slowly became a symbol of control. Every new file meant another secret. Every new mission meant another compromise. When Steve Rogers uncovered Hydra's infiltration, it erased trust in the very idea of security. The fall of SHIELD sent shockwaves through every corner of the MCU. Its agents scattered into smaller divisions. The new Saber Initiative, watching over space, Sword monitoring extraterrestrial threats, and countless rogue cells carrying Fury's original mission in silence. It never truly vanished. It adapted. In every shadow operation and post-blip surveillance project, there's still the ghost of its emblem. Department of Damage Control, DoDC. If SHIELD handled the extraordinary, the Department of Damage Control handled the mess left behind. Created after the Battle of New York, it began as a joint venture between Stark Industries and the US government to clean up alien wreckage and advance tech. The idea was simple: keep dangerous materials out of civilian hands. But over time, the DoDC became something much larger and more invasive. They built containment units for enhanced individuals, confiscated technology from heroes and villains alike, and quietly expanded their mandate to cover superhuman regulation. What started as cleanup evolved into policing. By Ms. Marvel, they were conducting armed raids in high schools. By Spider-Man: No Way Home, they were interrogating teenagers about interdimensional threats. The DoDC turned red tape into power, bureaucracy as a weapon. Their authority keeps growing because they exist in the gray space left behind by the collapse of SHIELD and the mistrust of costumed heroes. For the first time, secrecy in Marvel's world doesn't wear a black trench coat. It wears a government badge. Nova Corps. Stationed on Xandar, they maintain peace through the power of the Nova Force, a shared energy field distributed through every officer. Their ranks range from common soldiers to centurions, with Nova Prime leading as Commander-in-Chief. In the MCU, they first appeared in Guardians of the Galaxy, trying to hold the line against Ronan the Accuser and his Kree warship. They were disciplined, diplomatic, and organized, a reflection of Xandar's idealism. After the battle, they even safeguarded the Power Stone in their vaults, believing it was secure. Then Thanos wiped Xandar from existence, off-screen, leaving the core decimated and their legacy scattered. In the comics, one survivor, Richard Rider, absorbed the entire Nova Force, turning from soldier to cosmic champion. His survival kept the core alive as legend, proof that even galactic law needs someone willing to fight alone. Level 6. Shadow Power Brokers. The Cabal. The Cabal formed in the chaos after the Skrull invasion, an alliance so secret even villains whispered about it. Norman Osborn, freshly redeemed as a national hero, gathered some of the most dangerous minds in Marvel's world. Dr. Doom, Emma Frost, Namor, Loki, and the Hood. Each brought influence, political, magical, or mutant, and together they plotted to reshape the world in their image. On paper, the Cabal was a council of equals. In reality, it was a den of predators circling the same meal. Osborn promised a new era under his control as head of HAMMER, replacing Psy-Eld with his own brand of authoritarian order. Doom played along, watching for weakness. Namor saw opportunity for Atlantis. Loki manipulated everyone, treating the alliance like a chessboard. It didn't take long for the fractures to show. Their meetings were theatrical, masked rooms, coded invitations, and silent guards who never survived long after. They controlled world events through false flags, manufactured wars, and calculated leaks. Osborn's Dark Avengers served as their public face, replacing heroes with villains in disguise. For a short time, it worked. The Cabal ruled from the shadows while the world believed peace had returned. But power alliances never last in Marvel's world. Namor and Doom's rivalry shattered the illusion of unity. Loki used the chaos to further his own schemes, and when Osborn overreached during the Siege of Asgard, the entire structure collapsed. Yet the Cabal left a blueprint behind, proof that villains could organize, strategize, and almost win. Valentina Network. Decades later, a new name began to circulate in intelligence circles: Contessa Valentina Allegra de Fontaine. She appeared after the blip like a phantom recruiter, collecting broken heroes, mercenaries, and ex-operatives from every corner of the MCU. Her charm was diplomatic, but her goal was unmistakable: to assemble a covert strike team with plausible deniability. She approached John Walker after his dishonorable discharge, turned Yelena Belova from freelancer to asset, and began connecting figures like Taskmaster, Ghost, and U.S. Agent under one banner. Her pitch wasn't patriotism, it was purpose. The result? The Thunderbolts, a team that operates outside the law while serving the government's darkest interests. Valentina's influence extends beyond recruitment. She has files on every enhanced individual, control over DODC operations, and ties to high-level intelligence briefings. Where Fury built alliances, Val builds leverage. Her organization doesn't fly helicarriers or wear uniforms. It hides inside contracts, favors, and blackmail. In many ways, she's inherited what the Cabal started, weaponizing cooperation through manipulation. The Hellfire Club, Inner Circle. Long before governments or super soldiers, the Hellfire Club ruled through wealth. Founded in the 18th century as an elite social circle, it evolved into a secret society of aristocrats who saw themselves as the rightful architects of human progress. Their inner circle, led by Sebastian Shaw and Emma Frost, used influence, seduction, and money to shape policy from behind champagne glasses. Operating from a mansion in New York, the club acted as both a playground and a power base. They funded political campaigns, owned media outlets, and ran global corporations. In the mutant world, they became both ally and adversary to the X-Men, sometimes offering sanctuary, other times manipulating mutant kind for their own gain. Shaw's belief in mutant dominance turned the club into an ideological weapon, while Frost's later defection to the X-Men fractured its unity. Over centuries, the Hellfire Club survived revolutions, recessions, and even sentinels. It adapted with the times, dressing its corruption in elegance. Today, it's less a single organization and more a philosophy among the ultra-rich. A reminder that some of the most dangerous conspiracies don't need superpowers. They only need money, access, and the belief that the world belongs to them. Level 7, Reality, World Controllers, the Illuminati. Few names in Marvel's universe carry as much quiet weight as the Illuminati. They were built out of necessity. After the Kree-Skrull War, Tony Stark gathered the world's most powerful intellects and leaders in secret. The goal was simple: prevent another disaster by sharing knowledge before the world burned again. The first meeting included Stark, Reed Richards, Doctor Strange, Black Bolt, Namor, and Professor Charles Xavier. Together, they represented every corner of power: technology, science, mysticism, diplomacy, the sea, and the mind. Their influence stretched across centuries of conflict. They decided which threats to reveal and which to bury. When they found the Infinity Gems, they divided them among themselves for safekeeping. When the Skrull infiltration began, they were the first to know, and the last to admit they failed to stop it. They weren't villains, but they weren't saviors either. Every secret they protected created ripples that shaped the world in ways no hero team ever could. Their biggest sin came during the Incursion Crisis, when alternate universes began colliding with Earth. Faced with impossible choices, the Illuminati turned from thinkers to executioners, destroying entire worlds to save their own. It fractured the group permanently. Namor's conscience snapped. Reed buried himself in logic. Tony and Steven nearly tore each other apart. The weight of playing God proved too much for men still pretending to be human. In the MCU, the Illuminati appeared in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, ruling Earth 838 with quiet precision. That version included Reed Richards, Professor X, Captain Carter, Black Bolt, Maria Rambeau's Captain Marvel, and Mordo. Their decision to execute their universe's Doctor Strange for reckless use of the Darkhold showed the same cold logic that defined their comic counterparts. They acted like judges of fate, decisive, controlled, and fatally sure of their own judgment. Wanda Maximoff's arrival proved their flaw: power without humility invites extinction. Their legacy endures because they embody Marvel's greatest question: what happens when good men gain the authority to decide what's too dangerous for everyone else? Their story is about control. TVA, founded by He Who Remains, the last surviving variant of Kang the Conqueror, it exists outside the flow of time itself. Its purpose: prune chaos, maintain a single sacred timeline, and prevent the multiverse from fracturing into war. Every worker in the TVA, from Hunter B-15 to Agent Mobius, believed they were serving order. None of them knew they were pawns in one man's cosmic chess game. Their headquarters sits beyond time, a retro-futuristic labyrinth filled with infinity stones used as paperweights. Every timeline variant, from Loki to Sylvie, faced judgment under its artificial laws. The TVA doesn't operate like a government. It operates like Destiny's filing cabinet. Everything labeled, archived, and deleted when inconvenient. The TVA's grip shattered when Sylvie killed He Who Remains, triggering the multiversal collapse seen in Loki. In that moment, every version of Kang began to rise. Conquerors, scientists, tyrants, all waging war across time. Loki's later transformation into the god of stories, holding together countless timelines, shows what happens when the custodians of time lose control. In comics, the TVA has existed since the late 1980s, introduced as cosmic bureaucrats managing alternate realities. Their true power lies not in violence but in erasure. They can erase entire timelines with a command, making them more terrifying than any army. And that's it. Now that the multiverse seems to be breaking open, which secret group do you think will rise next? Comment down below as you leave a like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for more amazing videos like this one.